Hi guys, so while we slept, things continued to escalate around the world, particularly in the Middle East. We know and are aware already of the chemical attack that took place in Syria, and the accusations are already flying around. People saying that Assad used these chemical weapons on his own people, and that being denied. But what is important about this is the fact that the chemical attack is, I don't know the facts of it, but it's most likely a false flag in order to put the reason in there for further attacks in Syria, attacks on the Iran bases in Syria, and obviously Russia's going to be involved because Russia's in Syria as well. So after the chemical attack, Israeli officials came out and said US must strike in Syria, and they're saying Assad is the angel of death and the world would be better without him. They're encouraging the United States to strike in Syria, to get involved more in this war. Only recently, Donald Trump was saying that he wanted to pull troops out of Syria. Now, he has no choice but to stay in. The US must attack the Assad regime in Syria in response to the alleged chemical weapons attack in Douma, which killed dozens of people. Erdogan, who is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's number two in Likud, said he hoped US military action against the regime would be taken, as it was when the Syrian army used chemical weapons against its people in the past. And I spoke about that in the video yesterday in reference to the 59 Tomahawks that Donald Trump launched after the chemical attacks in Syria last year. And my question was, what's he going to do this year, particularly because of the tensions with Russia and all the other things that have been going on there? Would they get involved in Syria again? Because the last time they got a warning from Russia that they were acting outside the law, and they took away an agreement about airspace over Syria. So there was direct response to the 59 Tomahawks. This year, Donald Trump hasn't done anything yet, but he is saying that Putin is partially responsible for this chemical attack. So Israel went ahead and, well, they're being accused of striking bases in Syria. So the Russian Ministry of Defense accused Israel of bombing an airbase in Syria overnight. The Russian news agency Interfax reported on Monday Russian and Syrian air defense systems shot down 5 or 8 missiles fired by 2 Israeli F-15 combat jets from Lebanese airspace. The Israeli aggression on the T4 airport was carried out with F-15 planes that fired several missiles from above Lebanese land. Asked about the Russian statement, an Israeli military spokesman said he had no immediate comment. The Syrian state broadcaster said early Monday that explosions were heard at the T4 airfield near Homs, which is close to the ancient city of Palmyra in central Syria. And obviously the Palmyra stands out to me because I only did a report in the last couple of days talking about the Arch of Palmyra that was put up on April the 18th, 2016, and how April the 18th, 2018 is basically the 2-year anniversary of when that was done. It added that there were several dead and wounded. A Syrian military source was quoted as saying air defenses shot down 8 missiles fired at the base, where defense analysts say there was a large deployment of Russian forces, and where jets fly regular sorties to strike rebel-held areas. So, 14 people killed. Not exactly sure of all the nationalities. A reference to Iranian-backed Shiite militia members, mostly from Iraq, Lebanon, and Iran, fighting alongside the Syrian army. So there are other nationals such as Iranians and possibly Russians involved in this strike from Israel in response to this alleged chemical attack. It all seems a bit too convenient, doesn't it? Just a little bit too convenient that Assad would use chemical weapons just as Trump was threatening to leave Syria. I think Israel was behind that, to be quite honest with you. They do not want Trump to leave Syria. They don't want the American forces to leave Syria. If that happens, Iranian forces will push forward, the Russian forces will push forward, Syrian forces will push forward, and they'll be able to get closer to Israel. And that's Israel's ultimate goal, is to not allow any sort of corridor to the nation of Israel. I don't take any judgments on the actions, but what I do see is a setup. I see a setup in the case of the American troops now being ensnared in Syria for for time. How long, I really don't know, but they're not leaving now. Definitely not leaving now, and not any time in the future. The next thing we're looking out for in relation to this is Donald Trump's response. We know that he said that Putin is partially responsible. We know that the Israelis are calling for a US strike in Syria. Will it happen? Considering the closeness between not just Israel and America, but between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, I think there may be a response from the United States. And obviously, the question of what Russia will do after that is then what comes up. So it's an escalating tit for tat, but you can see that it is all set up, it's all ready to go. And then you've got this Kim Jong-un telling the US that North Korea is prepared to scrap its nukes for good, putting their nukes on the table for talks in terms of denuclearization. This is a big flag for me, because obviously, if we think about the iPad Goat video, in fact, let me just bring it up for those of you who are unaware of the video and the scene that I'll be talking about. So, okay, let's just go for this one. So basically, we are currently in the time of denuclearization talks. This time, no nuclear. Peace talks, where she runs out with the flag. But for some reason, it's too late. Let's just take a little backtrack there. So, this is happening right now. Denuclearization. This is no nuclear. That's the sign on the side of the girl's face. Love. This appears to be what North Korea is doing at the moment. But the situation going on in Syria and around the rest of the world is escalating, while it appears that on the Korean Peninsula things are de-escalating. That is a red flag to me. As I said, North Korea celebrate their Day of the Sun, April the 16th, 2 days of rest, April the 15th, 2 days of rest, April the 16th and 17th, and then they're free for the 18th. All the other things I pointed out on the 18th, I'm not even going to bother going through it, because I got one video on my channel I just posted yesterday that basically covers the whole reason why I think April the 18th is significant and all the different things that are going on that day. But it appears that all the pieces are in place. The pieces are in place for attacks in Syria that may result in collateral damage, that may cause the Muslim nations around Israel to attack it, and the tensions between Russia are set up there. You've got the Dark Sky Week next week and everything like that. Not next week, sorry, the week after next. So that's all set up and ready to go in terms of blackout, EMP, the little Russian submarines that have been detected. The recent report of the Russian submarines approaching the United States undetected. So much going on, but all of it appears to be exactly what is needed in order for all the events we've talked about to transpire. I mean, even the major earthquake scenario, loads more earthquakes are happening, particularly in Oklahoma. I don't know what's happening there. Apparently it's down to the fracking that's going on there, but there is a lot of earthquakes happening in Oklahoma at the moment. Every single day there's like a magnitude 4 or something and above, and I don't know if that's going to result in anything, but it seemed like something that needed to be pointed out. And again, with the volcanoes, they're all waking up as well. It's just that in Mexico, in Indonesia, in Japan, in Italy, they're all waking up. So, you know, I pay attention to all those things. I do a lot of research on many different aspects and only bring about probably 10% of what I research. Some of it is really, really wild. Some of it I don't believe in. And then whatever I present to you is basically the stuff that I've researched the most and have the most, can't really say evidence, but the most reports of. So you guys, with that, I say keep your eyes open, pay attention to the response from Donald Trump in regards to this chemical attack. They're already blaming Russia. Russia's blaming Israel. Israel's blaming Assad. the blame game is being played, but it is being played in a strategic way, so each player is involved and will respond in whatever way they can. And then you've got North Korea saying they're going to give up their nukes, a direct reference to the iPad Goat video, this scene where the girl runs out. She represents Korea as a whole with the tiger on the back, and that is denuclearization and love, and that appears to be exactly what we're having now. And then, for some reason, during these peace talks, the skeleton of death comes out and starts orchestrating death. So while they're speaking of peace and safety, sudden destruction may come. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and God bless.